The Lakers trade for James Harden, and NBA Analyst thinks they should. What is the plan for LeBron James? What's going on with Austin Reeves? Christian Wood's impact on defense? And what is the latest on Jared Vanderbilt? That's coming up next here on Lakers Courtside. What up, Laker fans? Doug McCain here. My friends call me D-Mac. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMac_LA. I've been covering LA sports for over a decade. The Lakers for SI, the Dodgers for Dodgers Nation, the Rams for Locked On. And if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to the All Lakers YouTube channel for all latest Lakers news and rumors all season long. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, hit that like button, and let me know down below. What are your thoughts on Jared Vanderbilt's injury? Are you a little concerned at this point? Would you consider making a trade for James Harden if he's still available by the time the Lakers can make that trade? Also, what are your biggest takeaways through the Lakers' first two games of the season? And for all latest Lakers news, head over to alllakers.com. So we got tons of topics to get into about your purple and gold, so let's get right into them. Now, if you're hoping that Jared Vanderbilt was going to be back on the court soon and he was going to solve some of the Lakers' problems to their first couple of games, provide some defense, really find that role that we saw last season, well, I've got some bad news for you because he's not going to be on the court as soon as you would have hoped. This morning, the Lakers had an announcement about the timeline for his return, and after missing much of the preseason and the opening two games of the regular season, the Lakers announced that Vando will be reevaluated in 2 weeks' time. Vando has been dealing with a left heel injury that was originally designated as soreness before they called it bursitis before yesterday's game against the Suns. Kobe Price tweeted out, Jared Vanderbilt, who was re-examined by team doctors on Thursday, will be reevaluated by the Lakers medical staff in 2 weeks, the Lakers say. The Lakers say Vanderbilt's left heel bursitis is improving. So that is somewhat encouraging that they're saying that it is improving, but this is feeling like Kendrick Nunn 2.0, and we have a little PTSD with some of these player injuries that we've seen from the Lakers in recent history. Now, you saw yesterday Cam Reddish, he did have some nice moments. He has been marginally effective at times, but the reality is I don't know if I want to see Cam Reddish taking meaningful shots for this team. Now, defensively, has some nice versatility, does have some nice length. I don't think he's explosive enough. I don't think he's going to be a difference maker. Game one definitely was one of the better Lakers, probably the best of the new Lakers in that one, but I just question his ceiling. I would like to see Max Christie get some more opportunities until Vando can get back. And really, it makes you question the Lakers training staff. Do they have the worst training staff in the league when it comes to handling injuries? What's going on? What is the real information behind this? So it's going to be very interesting to see when he actually gets back on the court because they need him. And hopefully Darvin Ham, like I said, gives Max Christie an opportunity. He's a more efficient three-point shooter compared to Cam Reddish on defense. Reddish, of course, has the advantage, but he's not elite enough for me to justify not giving Max Christie an opportunity, not seeing what he has to see if he can take the next step forward. And of course, Vando is a superior defender than Reddish. So yeah, we need Vando back, but I just want a little more clarity on this situation. I hope this doesn't become full-on Kendrick Nunn 2.0. And look, foot injuries are always concerning. They're always worrisome when it comes to NBA athletes. And the hope is that when he does return, he's back on the hardwood for good. And this is nothing that lingers for the entire season. But at this point, it's fair to say that this injury was worse than we thought. It's good that this team does have some depth. I think the silver lining in all this is that some of these guys that are competing for spots in the rotation, they're going to get extended minutes to see if they can make the most of those opportunities. I'll say it again. I've said it before. I'm pounding my fist on the table. Let me see some Max Christie. I think that he has all the potential in the world. Yes, he's young. Yes, he's green. You didn't want to throw him in the fire for the first couple of games, but yeah, let's give Max Christie a shot in his absence. Okay, now the next topic I want to get into is James Harden. Kendrick Perkins today on ESPN, he suggested that the Lakers make a move for Harden. He said, if I'm the Los Angeles Lakers, I might be looking to trade for James Harden. He wants to go to the Clippers, but going to the Lakers makes the most sense for Anthony Davis. If you want to get Davis good, easy looks like James Harden did for Joel Embiid last season, how about trading for him? So first and foremost, the Lakers that they could trade, if they were going to even consider that deal, it wouldn't occur until November, until December. And even then, they want to fix things in Philly before then. Daryl Morey, he wants to get out from underneath James Harden. And of course, there's no turning back. Those bridges have been burned. That's irreconcilable, right? The divorce papers have been filed. They are not going to get back together. There's some rumors, some allegations about Kelly Oubre banging Harden's girlfriend or whatever that was, right? But the fact of the matter is he's not going back to Philly, and Philly isn't waiting until November and December to trade James Harden. And even if that was the case, the era of the three superstar, top-heavy teams, I think, is starting to fade. I think the league has pivoted to a more depth-filled roster. You see some of the better teams in the league, they have depth on the margins, or at the very least, their top 7 and 8 guys are a little more balanced. And I just don't think James Harden, at this stage of his career, is going to move the needle enough. Let's say you include a Rui Hachimura, who's young, who's under contract, hasn't had the greatest 2 games so far, but you saw the potential early in the Grizzlies series. His three-point shot improving. I would rather keep this team younger than go for an aging superstar. And also, let me check my notes here. Okay, it says the goal for the Lakers team is to win their 18th championship. It says they want to win a Larry O'Brien trophy. They want to win a ship this year. So why the hell would you bring in James Harden, one of the biggest chokers of any superstar this game has ever had? If you're going to make a list of the underperforming all-time superstar list in NBA history, James Harden would be in the conversation to be at the top of that list. I mean, you can list off some of his greatest choke jobs. Let's start with 2015, Game 5 versus the Warriors. He goes 2 for 11 with 12 turnovers. 2015, Game 6 versus the Clippers. He goes 5 for 20 and was benched in the fourth quarter. Both were elimination games. And then there's the GOAT choke. His all-time greatest choke job came in the 2017 Western Conference semifinals against the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs were playing without Tony Parker and Kawhi Leonard. It was a home game in Houston. And what does he do? He drops 10 points. He had a plus-minus of negative 28. He made 2 field goals. He was absolutely atrocious. He ends up scoring 10 points, had 6 turnovers on 2 of 11 shooting from the field, goes 2 of 9 from 3. That is awful. That is one of the worst choke jobs of any superstar in a big game in NBA history. And then you look at this most recent playoffs. Yeah, he had a pretty nice series against the Celtics. He had some big moments, but then in games 6 and 7, he went out sad. Game 6, he goes 4 for 16, had 13 points, 10 assists. Game 7, everything on the line. He goes 3 for 11, had 9 points, minus 30, had 4 assists. So this guy did not show up. This guy has to take Heimlich maneuver classes because he chokes on the biggest stage. I do not want James Harden on my team. I think, yeah, he can put up some nice peripherals, some nice counting stats in the regular season, but if the goal is to win a championship, why would you bring on one of the players in the league that has been one of the biggest underperformers in the playoffs of any superstar in the last couple of decades? It just doesn't add up. The math does not math. We know that Kendrick Perkins, feel like he has some issues with LeBron James. I don't know if he's trying to play 40 chess and try to sabotage him, but there's that. And then on top of that, the Lakers learn from their mistakes about these top-heavy rosters with the Russell Westbrook nightmare from last season. So it's not going to happen. It's a dumb idea. Quite frankly, James Harden at this stage of his career, he can still provide value on a other team, on a bad team or a semi-good team, but I don't think he's a guy that takes a good team and makes them an elite team, takes an elite team to a championship. That's just not in his DNA. He showed this throughout his career. And look, you do have to give him credit for 2019. Had a great series against the Warriors there in the Western Conference Finals. And if it weren't for Chris Paul's hamstring, he might even have an NBA championship. He went off that series. He was consistent, averaged 34.8 points, 5.5 dimes across 7 games, had a 59% true shooting percentage. But hey, if Clint Capella didn't get sunned by Kevon Looney, maybe they win that series. Maybe they have a chance, but they weren't going to beat that team. But for the most part, at this stage of his career, I don't think that there isn't even a serious conversation that James Harden takes this team over the top. If anything, he takes the ball out of LeBron James' hands. I still think this team, if he's fresh, when they're at their best, it's when the ball is in LeBron James' hands in the final minutes of the game. So in the words of Randy Jackson, that's a no from me, dog. I do not want James Harden in LA. But now we're going to get into my takeaways from the Lakers win over the Suns. The Lakers are now at 500 at 1-1. They beat the Suns 100-95. They're now undefeated at the crib this season. And my first big takeaway is, how about that LeBron James minutes restriction? It lasted a grand total of 1 game. After the Lakers' first game of the season, where they lost to the Nuggets, Darvin Ham said that LeBron James wasn't going to play 30 minutes a night, and that changed when he played the entire fourth quarter. The Lakers needed every single minute of it. LeBron James said, let me put these kids to bed. We're going to get this dub because we're not losing our home opener. We're not going to go 0-2 to start this season. They're dreading the possibility of starting 2-10. You don't want to have that happen once again. And it wasn't just that LeBron James played the entire fourth quarter, in which he did. What was most impressive was how he played, how he got his buckets. You saw him fighting through double teams. You saw him working his way through the basket. You saw the freight train on the tracks. And look, yes, even at his advanced age, he's still a problem. He's still tough to defend. And he can't do it every minute, for every quarter, for every game. But in spurts, he still has it in him. So you got to give him a lot of credit. He scored 10 points in the fourth quarter. He put the Lakers up for good there with that layup at the end, split those two defenders. And then, look, they needed him in the worst way, because earlier in the game, got guys stepping up. Anthony Davis had a much better night, we'll talk about in a second, but they were trailing by 12 after the first quarter. They were trailing by 4 at the half, and then they were trailing by 12 after 3. So Kevin Durant went off. And look, if they were at full strength and you had Devin Booker and Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant still has something left in the tank, and maybe yesterday is a different story. But I think the big difference yesterday was Darvin Ham realized that, look, this is the Western Conference. He's very understanding and cognizant of the optics of having a slow start to this season. And you got to get every single win that you can. And he said after the game that tonight called for me to go outside the box. That's what LeBron James told reporters, and it does feel like it's still the goal to limit those minutes. And look, they can say what they want, but anything other than, hey, we didn't want to start 0-2, we didn't want to lose our home opener, that's just a straight up lie, okay? That's why they went about it. If this was a couple games into the season, they had already won a couple games, I think that they would have been a little more strict. And I think for me, it makes no sense to make 30 minutes the maximum amount of minutes possible for LeBron to reach. I mean, if you want him to average 30, I can understand that, but I don't think you need to have this hard stop. I mean, you can mix and match here and there, and I think you really need to fix it so that when LeBron enters the game in the fourth quarter, he won't be able to go past 35 minutes. So it's more about managing those minutes through the first 3 quarters. So the Lakers, they handle their business. He's not going to be playing the full fourth quarter anyway. If they don't, you just take that L, right? So I think that they have to be judicious and smart about it. But the other issue, too, what if you go into overtime? If there's an overtime game, really all bets are off. But I think, look, I like what he did in this one. I like LeBron and Ham being on the same page, throwing caution to the wind, knowing you need to get that W. You have to take advantage of those situations in the Western Conference. Now, my second big takeaway is that Anthony Davis showed up. We need to see this version of AD. He said, brow down to the Suns. He finished with 30 points on 10 of 17 shooting, had 12 rebounds, 3 blocks, 3 steals. He was phenomenal, and especially in the fourth quarter. For me, when you look at his overall numbers, you got to focus on the fourth quarter. That is winning time. The fourth quarter, he was attacking. He went to the line 7 times. He scored 13 points, and of course, you're going up against Nurkic. You're going against Eubanks, and they were in foul trouble. So, I mean, you look at the matchup there, and you look at Frank Vogel's defense. I'm glad that Ayton isn't on that Suns team anymore, but give a lot of credit to Anthony Davis. And I think if you want to know how much this team believes in Anthony Davis, from his teammates to his coaches, just look at LeBron James. After the game, he was asked about AD, and he said, we don't give a shit, when referring to some of the criticism that he gets on social media. He says that Anthony Davis doesn't have social media. So I give him a ton of credit, a nice bounce-back game. Now, my next big takeaway number 3, Christian Wood impacted the game on defense. Christian Wood looks like he's the real deal. He looks like he was as advertised as far as the role he was going to play, as far as what he was going to provide. You look at the fourth quarter right there, they started Christian Wood and Anthony Davis, and Ham always talks about that defensive intensity, and they allowed the Suns to score just 11 points in that final quarter, and that was the most impressive development of the night, is that you closed the game on the defensive end. When KD was trying to impose his will and single-handedly carried that Suns team to victory. And Darvin Ham said after the game about Christian Wood, "I thought he did about as good a job as anyone could do. He made a commitment to me when we signed him that was a part of his game that he wants to get better at. With his length, his agility, he's able to contest at a high rate. Some of the guys that are physical defenders may be a little shorter, so they're really not causing any distraction of KD's vision when he's looking at the rim." And yeah, he did a nice job against Kevin Durant. And you look at that versatility there, a big guarding Kevin Durant, a guy that's doing damage all night long. He's able to get out on the perimeter and force some bad looks. You saw him force KD to hit the side of the backboard on a tough baseline mid-range jumper. He picked him up at the top of the key, forced a short jumper there. He prevented KD from getting the ball in the corner. As you heard those court mics, you heard Darvin Ham just yelling, "Deny, deny." So it's clear that he's receptive to the coaching. And when you've heard the reputation of Christian Wood, a guy that's been on 7 teams already in his young career, feels like he's really embracing this opportunity with the Lakers. He also said, when you've got Christian guarding and Nurkic is coming to get a screen, now AD is switching on him, or Christian is pressing up on him, pushing him to AD, along with Cam and Torian. Those guys did the best job they can do, forcing him into tough shots where he's accustomed to making those shots, but we will still try to make it as tough as possible. With Christian in particular, his length and his ability to contest and his focus, he's trying to be good on that end of the floor. You saw he was in a good rhythm. He was getting some defensive rebounds, so it was decided to go with him and throw him into the deep end of the pool. So, yeah, that's a great point right there, is that, yeah, he was in some tough situations, but he did force those key misses. He helped turn that 12-point deficit around and help get this Lakers team the dub. And I think if Wood continues this level of defense and he continues to find his offense, I think Ham's going to have to go to that 2-big lineup a little more often than we expected. And I don't think that Ham ever went to any 2-big lineups at all last season, except with Wenyen, but he wasn't as good of a rebounder or scorer as Christian Wood. So this is going to offer a different dynamic to this Lakers team. I love the combination of AD and Wood. Love the activity. I did think he benefited off of Kevin Durant's fatigue. There's no doubt about that. And like I said, if that's a full-strength Suns team yesterday, maybe they do win that game. But yeah, the biggest takeaway for me is that the Lakers, you got another long, athletic big that when it comes playoff time, you're not going to have every single one of your guys stepping up every single game. You need different contributions from different guys. You saw Rui. You saw Austin Reeves last year. You saw guys step up at different times and different points, and that's how you extend series. That's how you have deep runs in the postseason. So only concern I do have about Christian Wood is that, what does this mean for Rui Hachimura? Will we see some DMPs when Vando gets back? I mean, it's going to be an interesting shuffle right there, because it could be that he is the odd man out if he continues to play this well. But I still think Rui's ceiling and his potential, he's going to get his opportunities, and that's the beauty of this team. You had to be built around depth. We saw it bite this team last season. Hopefully, it's going to be advantage this year. But if he continues to play this way and continue to start hitting those threes, hey, his career is going to really start rolling. He's going to really start to reach that potential. And then my fourth big takeaway is I want to see Darvin Ham take the next step. I think he needs to do a better job of managing his players' minutes. Yesterday, AD almost 40 minutes. You know he's not someone that recovers well. You can't run him into the ground early in the year. Yes, we know that we need him to be an MVP. We saw what LeBron did yesterday. But, hey, you need to keep him on the floor. And you look at the minutes from some of these other guys. For Gabe and Reddish compared to Reeves and Rui, Gabe Gabe Vince had 35 minutes. Reeves had 28. Reeves really was in foul trouble until the end of the game. Has been playing his best, but still he's not been terrible or anything like that. Still averaging 12 points per game, and I just don't think that he's gotten in a groove. Looks a little step slow on defense. I think the Phoenix offense was cooking him a little bit with their second unit, but I'm still looking for Reeves, who I think is a little tired, man. I mean, talking about playing for Team USA, he got the bag. I think we need to see a big breakout game from Austin Reeves. You look at Reddish, 12 minutes, Rui 12 minutes. So I don't think Reddish deserves minutes over Rui. And I think the defense has been good at times, but I think, hey, Rui is your investment. So that's something that I didn't like. And also just in general, yesterday, I think he's a good assistant coach. I want to see him prove that he's a great head coach, right? That's kind of my big issue because there's not a lot of movement on the offense, not a lot of motion. It's very stagnant at times. You got guys standing around the perimeter. Still feels like this team lacks a point guard that can get to the rim with regularity, so that's something I'm looking at as well. But all in all, you got to feel good about getting a win. I'll take an ugly win in their second game of the season to get into that dub column. But that's going to do it for this episode of Lakers Courtside. My name is Doug McCann. My friends call me DMAC. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMAC_LA. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to the All Lakers YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, hit that like button. And until next time, go Lakers.